So here's another trimming video. This is that big bowl that you saw me throw earlier, and I've checked the shape of it. The inside has a really sweeping curve, so I'll be able to take off quite a lot of clay here to reveal more of that curve. So we're just going to get to it. Let's see, I think I can still use these. I threw my wads in here from the last one I did. So there they are. They should still be good. And let's turn this on and center it. Definitely off center here. Okay. I'm gonna wipe out that mark. Try again. Well, we're very close here. The marks. Gosh. I'm gonna say that's good. It's so close that if I moved it at all, it would just be off center the other way. So, I'm gonna wad this down. And I'm going to start trimming. My bottom is pretty smooth. I could take a minute to try to smooth it out a bit more. It's got a little bit of a dip there, but I think I'll be able to deal with that once I start taking away some of this extra. So I know that my curve goes in quite a bit, so my foot is actually probably going to be back here. And I'm going to do a nice big foot there. I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to actually use this big trim tool, which I usually don't use, but I've got a lot of clay to take away. So I'm just going to start hogging that off. Again, always both hands are making contact with the tool, hands making contact with the piece. You can see with big pieces, especially big bowls and big plates, you take away a lot of clay. Feels a little bit wasteful, but it's just what you have to do to support the piece. No point in making something if it's just going to collapse on you. So I know I've got a decent amount of clay. Starting at about here, I know I've got extra clay. So I'm going to kind of work on pulling that away. So I usually stop. When I'm doing bowls like this, I'm going to stop and look at my curve and think about how I want it to flow. I think I'll switch to my small trim tool now. Again, stop and then looking at my curve, thinking about the curve that's on the inside, and if I feel like that's close to it, I can thump. That's pretty close. It's still a little thick. I think I've got a little extra material here. Cut down a little further. Change that curve a bit. Think about the curves you're going to make of the foot ring. And here's where I'm going to kind of cut up into this, because I know I've got a very thick foot ring here. I'm going to level that out by cutting into the side. You've got to hold that pin tool really steady. Don't wiggle it around or wobble it around. That way you cut through and you know you have a nice level surface there. Go. Get off that extra material there. And so with this piece, I know that I have quite a bit more clay on the outside than the inside because of the way it sweeps. So I know that there's going to be a sweep to the inside of this foot ring. So I'm kind of taking it off in sections instead of just going from center to outside, which is generally what I do most of the time. And probably take off a little bit of extra clay on the outside here too, looking at the depth of the inside. think I'm going to take away just a little bit more of the clay right here. I think I'm happy with that, knowing how much clay that I had before. I think that works for me. And like I said when I was throwing this bowl, I don't like super thin, larger pieces. I find them a bit disconcerting. So I feel like I'm going to break them constantly. So things being a little thicker, because the whole piece is a little thicker, is just fine. So now I'm going to recompress. Like always, when you trim, recompress everything. You could compress the parts you didn't trim if you'd like to smooth those out a little bit. Just make sure you don't leave something awkward to clean up. Just compressing all those surfaces. Alright, so there is trimming a very large bowl. I'm gonna smooth out this just a little bit. And there we go. That's trimmed as well.